we will look first at the 8 hot hells. Whereas the human realm is composed mainly of 4 elements, earth, water, fire, and wind, the hot hells are mainly made of fire. Their descriptions in the texts as filled with fire and intensely hot, where molten lava is poured down one's throat, fail to capture the real pain there. A fierce fire element 100,000 times more intense than the fire in our human realm makes up the entire environment. The heat and burning are said to be even more intense than the world colliding with the sun. The 8 hot hells are named for the intensity of their suffering. The first hot hell, known as the reviving hell, is made entirely of flames in all 10 directions. Here, due to the accumulated karma of being involved with weapons or harmful devices, we view others with a sense of great hatred. The anger in our minds is visited upon us with 1,000 times more aggression. Combined with the karma of weaponry, this tremendous aggression causes us, in spite of our own inconceivably intense pain and suffering, to inflict harm on others. We continue to harm others based on the karma of the realm itself, which is described as a wind that continually blows everything back into form. So we experience ongoing death and revival and hatred of others, which creates ongoing aggression. To think that karma is created only in this life and merely comes to fruition in the other realms is a misunderstanding of the enormous implications of karma. Karma refers to a cause, its fruition, and further limitless creations. The hell realms, like other realms, are places where karma not only comes to fruition, but also is created. When we are stuck in the 6 realms, we experience a continuous cycle of suffering, which is why samsaric existence is said to spin like a wheel with no beginning or end. The second hot hell is a realm of even more intense suffering known as the black mark hell. Here our body is marked and then cut into pieces. Our teachers used to describe this very graphically. They would talk about how the saw is extremely rusty and not very sharp, how it has to be pushed and pulled, and how it takes hundreds of years just for the cutting, during which time we are completely conscious. There are sentient beings with a capacity for pain beyond the limits of what we know or want to know. In our own limited experience, a small cut can cause us to lose consciousness. A human being is endowed with very small, limited body and a mind that is also somewhat limited. Although our potential is great, our capacity for the intensity of experience is gentler. Because of this human gentleness, we may greatly underestimate the physical and mental experiences of other beings. Beings in the hell or preta realms have vast bodies and minds, as vast, some texts say, as this universe itself. With such vastness, the intensity of pain is that much greater. The third hot hell is the crushing hell, where as soon as we become aware of our environment, our body is crushed between 2 mountains, which often arise in the form of lions, tigers, sheep, and other animals. Due to the karma of inflicting harm or taking life, we perceive these beings in enormous forms, such as large mountains, rising up to attack or kill us. When the mountains separate, we're revived, only to go through the same experience again and again. The fourth hot hell is the crying hell, where the pain and suffering of extreme heat is so intense that we can do nothing but cry out aloud. Intensely afraid, we run around trying to escape but find nothing but a great metal house or dome. Entering that, we're sealed in, and for countless years our body is burned until there is no experience of a body at all, as it has completely turned into fire. The fifth hot hell is called the greater crying hell because the suffering is said to be twice that of the crying hell. The sixth hot hell is known as the heating hell. Here we have the physical experience of being roasted alive until the sense of the body itself exceeds the limits of the sky, and the experience of body and flames is inseparable. The seventh hot hell is the intense heating hell, where the intensity of flames is double that of the previous realm. Our body is pierced with flaming rods, and we are subjected to such extreme burning that we become inseparable from the flames. The eighth and lowest hot hell is Avicii hell, or the hell of ceaseless torment. Committing any of the 5 heinous crimes or, as a Vajrayana practitioner, developing adverse views regarding the Vajra master causes birth in this hell realm. The 5 heinous crimes that bring immediate retribution are killing one's father, killing one's mother, killing an arhat, malevolently causing a Buddha to bleed, and creating a schism within the Dharma community. Here one's skin, bone, marrow, and so on become a fire so intense that a whole world system could be immediately and completely turned to dust just coming into contact with it. Except for cries of suffering, there is no indication of the presence of physical bodies. It is as if one's entire existence is reduced to a mass of burning and incessant torment. This is the suffering of sentient beings at this very moment, and the duration of their suffering is difficult to imagine. Based on our human realm understanding of time, 50 human years equals 1 day in the God realm of the 4 great kings, and 500 years in this God realm equals 1 day in the first hot hell, the reviving hell, where beings suffer for 500 such years. As for the second hell realm, the black mark hell, 100 human years equals 1 day in the God realm of the 33 devas, and 1,000 years in this God realm equals 1 day in the second hell realm, where beings suffer for 1,000 such years. In this way, the duration of suffering in the hell realms multiplies with each successive realm until the 8th hot hell, where the suffering lasts for 1 kalpa. Simply put, sentient beings spend an inconceivable amount of time in the hell realms. To really understand samsara for what it is, we must understand this, even if it seems difficult or completely beyond our comprehension. The second group of hell realms is made up of 8 cold hells. Here, just as hot hells are made of fire, the environment is made of the elements wind and water, and of course, extreme cold. The first cold hell is known as the hell of blisters. We are born here completely naked, surrounded by snow blizzards and ice. The cold is 1,000 times greater than our human understanding of cold. Left alone without any sense of support or courage, we experience such intense cold that our entire body breaks out in blisters. The second cold hell is known as the hell of bursting blisters. Because the cold is 1,000 times more intense than the first cold hell, the blisters all burst and are completely devoured by various insects and animals, giving rise to an intensity of pain beyond our comprehension. In the third cold hell, the hell of clenched teeth, the cold is so intense that the teeth of the beings are tightly clenched. In the fourth cold hell, the hell of lamentations, the intense pain of cold and fear and suffering causes beings born here to lament and cry out ceaselessly. The fifth cold hell is called the groaning hell. Here the intensity of pain is so great that even speech is not possible, and beings simply groan with the suffering of intense cold. In the sixth cold hell, known as the hell of Utpala-like cracks, the experience of pain becomes ever greater as one's skin turns blue and splits into 4 petal-like pieces resembling the Utpala flower. The 7th and 8th cold hells are described as the hell of lotus-like cracks and the hell of great lotus-like cracks. This refers to a cold so intense that our entire body turns red and simply bursts into pieces resembling a lotus, first 4 pieces like a 4-petaled lotus, and then many pieces like a many-petaled lotus. A lifespan in the cold hells is described in the Treasury of Teachings as the length of time it would take to empty a great 100-kilo urn filled to the brim with mustard seeds if a single seed were taken out every 100 years. This would be the lifespan of beings in the first cold hell. For the other cold hells, multiply by 20 urns, 40 urns, and so on. Again, we need to understand the enormity of samsara and not limit it to our own small fears, aggressions, doubts, or hesitations, which sometimes seem so enormous. Samsara is not just our little world, or the emotions we struggle with, or the difficulties we have with our spiritual practice. Samsara is an inconceivable number of sentient beings and all their diverse realms, experiencing tremendous suffering for vast expanses of time compared to which our concept of time is very tiny. Imagine meeting someone who's lived for millions of years in a hell realm and saying to this being, "I can't meditate because of laziness." How irrelevant would that seem to someone experiencing such suffering? The point of contemplating the hell realms is not just to develop a fear of karma or to look at the many ways our lives can take form. The point is to see the enormity of our potential to create samsara and all its manifestations. Then we can see there's no place in this mind for any kind of arrogance or pride or stubbornness. A third class of hells, known as neighboring hells, surrounds the hell of ceaseless torment in the four directions. In the intermediate directions are hills of iron shalmali trees. The four neighboring hells are called pit of embers, swamp of decaying corpses, plain of razors, and forest of swords. Here's how they work. After a kalpa of exhausting our karma in the hell of ceaseless torment, we come out of that realm. But no matter which direction we go in, we encounter a neighboring hell. Coming out of a burning hell, we may see the cool shadows of a forest. Having been deprived of such coolness and peace for thousands of years, we rush toward it, but as soon as we reach it, it changes into fire and great weapons that pierce the body through and through. In another direction, we might see a cool stream and run toward it, only to have it change into a stream of decaying corpses in which we drown. With intense fear and regret, we express thousands of emotions that intensify our pain. We might also experience being pierced and shredded as we respond to something known as karmic imprint, which is the sight of relatives and other familiar faces. This karmic imprint pertains especially to monks and nuns who have broken vows of chastity. Khandro Rinpoche describes it like this: "You're at the base of a mountain looking up, where you see friends and family calling you. As you rush up the mountain, each rock, bush, and blade of grass turns into a weapon. In spite of being pierced and in pain, you continue to climb. Shredded to pieces, you arrive at the top, but nothing is there. Looking down the mountain, you see your family and friends at the base. Again, you rush toward them, with the same painful result for thousands and thousands of years. This example shows the power of karmic imprint to pull us in spite of intense pain. Even when we know something is bad for us, a karmic imprint can lure us into continuing to harm ourselves. A negative thought, for example, might be undermining our basic sanity and destroying our life. Nevertheless, we allow ourselves to be pulled in and destroyed by the force of a grasping mind. Because of the pull of something as simple as an empty thought, we continue to harm ourselves in spite of intense pain, just as we do when we see our relatives or friends. We remain in these neighboring hell realms for a time that's impossible to calculate in terms of human life. The fourth category of hells is known as the ephemeral hells. The beings here are the only hell realm beings that can be found in the human realm. They may be born in the ocean, earth, rocks, or the many other places where various kinds of beings may live. Their suffering in these various conditions is very intense because every experience bounces back as a reaction 1,000,000 times greater in magnitude. Their experience of pain, for example, is 1,000,000 times greater than ours. For example, the consciousness of innumerable such beings could be born within a burning campfire, in the rocks, wood, and the fire itself, where they would experience being completely burned. They could be embedded in the rocks we walk on, or in an ordinary glass table or door. Any harsh action or sound, such as slamming the door, would cause them intense fear and pain. Trapped in such circumstances for countless lifetimes, they experience the overwhelming fear of being subjected to intense pain inflicted by others at any time. If the hell realms astound us, we must think about never creating the ground that gives rise to them. The only way to avoid the tremendous suffering of hot and cold, fear and pain, is to bring awareness to our actions in this life. As long as there is still life in this body and mind, we can still create the ground of freedom from samsaric suffering and generate compassion for the limitless sentient beings trapped in it. May the effort you exert in your practice arise as the cause of their freedom. May your awareness and realization arise as the ability to free them. The Hungry Ghost Realm. The second of the 6 realms is known as the Hungry Ghost, Preta realm. While aggression and anger are the main cause of hell realms, the main cause of the Hungry Ghost realm is selfishness and stinginess, or a lack of generosity. Like hell realm beings, hungry ghosts can experience a variety of suffering, but their main suffering is intense hunger and thirst. In the Hungry Ghost realm, our hunger and thirst are so intense that the entire body shrivels up until it no longer resembles a body. The throat is said to be as narrow or fine as a thin needle, but the belly is as vast as the sky. Because no amount of food and water can pass through this narrow throat or fill such a belly, we're completely unable to satisfy our hunger and thirst. The intensity of ongoing hunger and thirst render us completely incapable of moving. In the distance, we see a lake full of water and many different kinds of fruit and food, but we're unable to move toward them. Nevertheless, we make an intense effort, struggling with all our might for hundreds of years. When we finally reach that body of water and wonderful food, the lake dries up and the food turns to dust. Our extreme suffering is doubled by the nearness of food and water that can't be consumed. This gives rise to the further suffering of great regret. Our mind is very clear, and we're absolutely aware of the karma that led to this birth. These are said to be the outer experiences of sentient beings in the Hungry Ghost realm. The inner experiences of hungry ghosts are also described, again, with a mouth as small as the eye of a needle and a belly as vast as a mountain. We spend hundreds of thousands of lifetimes trying to satisfy the burning pangs of hunger and thirst. If, after all our effort, we should manage to consume a drop of water, we cannot feel it in the vastness of such a stomach, and if we do experience that drop of water, it turns into molten lava, inflicting even more harm and pain. This is the experience of the inner obscurations leading to the Hungry Ghost realm. Furthermore, hungry ghosts are physically more delicate than human beings. Their body texture is so fine that any heat or cold is experienced 10 million times more intensely than it is by human beings. So a hungry ghost's entire being is made up of suffering. A lifespan in this realm is said to last until the negative karma of being born here is exhausted. This could take hundreds of thousands of years. Centuries of wandering in incessant torment may pass without so much as a drop of water or a grain of food.